Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon for everyone. My pleasure.
So, International Women's Day, we've been celebrating it for almost months. So now it's like 30, almost one day left, and still Women's Month, right? So, starting from back way before 19 in the 19, we used to celebrate Women's Day, and it started very small at a national level where only 15,000 women marched, and they were like, okay, we need short working hour, we need better pay, and we need the right to vote. It was so small back then, but now we're celebrating starting from 1975 after it was accepted and ratified by the United Nations. We're celebrating the International Women's Day in every nation, whether it's America, whether it's Africa, whether it's Kenya, and so on. So, and here today we're gathered to celebrate International Women's Month. So we hope you really enjoy, because this event had the theme of DigitALL, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality Campaign. And we have the hashtag Embrace Equity. So as you know, it's like digitalization is going faster than the time, faster than every nation ahead. So one of the things we learned from COVID-19 is using Zoom, Google Meet more often. More things have become digitalization. We could take it as a positive impact of COVID-19. It has brought globalization. I'm living in Ethiopia, currently residing in Addis, but we're meeting all over Africa. So we need innovation and technology to decrease the gender disparity. Therefore, Plan International is celebrating this month by hosting this interactive dialogue on innovation and technology and equity. This is to provide a platform for dialogue among girls, young women, and different stakeholders in Africa to speak on equity in tech industry. And also, we hope that this event will create a platform for young women, even like me, to share their experience and forward their key asks in relation to what the African Union and other member states are doing in creating access to technology and innovation. We might say, okay, we have talked about this so many times, but this is something we need to think about now, and we need to know that this event we need to value, and we need also to embrace. We have, and we also have interpretation range from English to inviting a person, director of the Plan International. His role includes providing leaders, influencing capacity, and advocacy initiatives. He is Mr. Samuel Nore, and we call him the honorary woman because he's also have been working tirelessly to achieve women's equality and women's empowerment. He'll be giving us the opening remark. Mr. Samuel, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Abigail. I must say you've been very splendid. And really, hearing you talk about what you've just spoken about gives us hope that the continent really have what it takes into the next decade. And so thank you very much. And I would want to acknowledge the presence of all honorables, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and also the young people who are present with us today, all protocols duly observed. Also allow me, on behalf of Plan International, to welcome you to today's commemorative event for the International Women's Day, and also to thank you for making time to join us. I'm sure you probably could have been doing something by now. In a little while, we'll hear our panelists share their views and also their reflections on the theme for this event. And I think, as Abigail mentioned, we'll be looking at embracing innovation and technology for gender equality. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt about the transformative power and the potential of digital space in the 21st century. It is a life changer and transcends gender, culture, race, color, nationality, and age. And I believe technology is a great enabler and has the potential to accelerate national development, both in development and also in humanitarian settings. Now, but only if and only when digital rights of girls and women are strengthened and protected. There is overwhelming evidence that shows that guaranteeing girls and women's access to digital space creates a brighter future for them and empowers them to thrive in a world that is increasingly and rapidly becoming digital. And I think Abigail was right when she talked about COVID and the fact that everything has now become almost in special spaces. Now, societies have witnessed an accelerated use of digital technologies at an unprecedented pace in almost every aspect of our life, from health to education, from activism to employment. This has presented new and positive opportunities for users worldwide. Now, the internet has become a powerful tool for advancing gender equality and human rights of all girls, enabling and empowering them to fulfill their potential and to pursue their ambitions as leaders and active citizens. We have seen the successful impact of initiatives like the African Girls Can Code, which seeks to empower girls in the technological space. In countries where Plan works, we have seen girls and young women take advantage of digital spaces to improve their well-being and quality of their lives. Plan have supported girls and young women to use the internet and other social media platforms to access education, social services, generate income, create safe spaces for collaboration. Girls have also been supported to use digital spaces to report cases of abuse and violence. In a few minutes, we'll also get to hear how member states are putting in place measures and policies to increase girls and women's access to digital space and to ensure equity and equality for all. Now, despite the foregoing, however, there's a sharp digital divide and also disparity between men and women in all their diversities. Now, challenges and gaps include low investment by government to bridge the digital divide, non-financial challenges such as bullying, discrimination, abuse, misinformation, disinformation, and the weak implementation of policies to guarantee the safety of girls while they are online. There's also the realization that the digital space is being dominated by males. It's important to appreciate the fact that many African countries do recognize the potential of ICT as part of the transformational growth factor to lift millions of people out of poverty, and as a result have put in place policies to support such initiatives. At the continental level, the AU Agenda 2063 recognizes the importance of development that is people-driven and which relies on the potential of its youth, and that includes girls. The role of girls and young men, therefore, in the digital space cannot be overemphasized in moving this agenda forward. Embracing innovation and technology for gender equality is our individual and collective responsibility. We need to take steps to support and ensure an all-inclusive, equal access and protective environment that empowers and enables and enhances girls and women digital access and rights in Africa. Now, as I conclude my opening remarks, I would like to thank our panelists who will lead us to discuss this interesting and very relevant topics, and encourage everyone to fully engage in the commemoration. Now, finally, let me reiterate planned commitment to support, invest, and collaborate in efforts that will guarantee girls equal and safe access to the digital spaces and platforms. Thank you, everyone, and happy International Women's Day to all our ladies on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Nore, the Director of Plan International African Union, lies in office. It's such a great honor to hear from a person, a man like you, talking and discussing on the issues of gender equality and different mechanisms that we can work towards. This is a real sign of inclusive work towards women empowerment and also gender equality. Again, please, participants, feel free to write on the chat box, I'm from here, my name is this. Let's say, my name is Abigail, I'm from Ethiopia, I work here. It's also a great time to network and use this platform as much as you can. Now, we'll be passing on to the intergenerational dialogue, which we all were waiting for, right? So we have great panelists here with us that have sacrificed their time and that are also open to share us what they know and what they've been working about. I'll be mentioning our panelist, Dr. Afisa Dakaria, Ministry of Gender, Children, Social Protection, Republic of Ghana, Dr. Messeres Dalalam, Federal Ministry of Health of Ethiopia, Atemkane Cynthia, a young girl and a final year student at the university studying special education and secretary at Fab Media Studio. Imlot Alan David, the chairperson for the AFCFTA Youth Advisory Council President, which is an independent continental youth advisory council on AFCFTA. Ms. Johanna Ermias, a co-founder and CTO of Akub Financial Technologies, a young entrepreneur in technology and innovation. Thank you for being with us. So, here we start. Please note down, have a notebook around you, or you can easily use your smartphone to take your notes, questions, because we'll get back to you. So, starting with our first panelist, Dr. Afisa Dakaria. She is the Chief Director for the Ministry of Gender, Women and Social Protection in Accra, Ghana. Dr. Dakaria is involved in the implementation of policies that will improve the livelihood of the marginalized in Ghana. And she has also championed the implementation of several government projects in the regards such as Ghana School Feeding Program, which is an amazing job. She is also a medical doctor by profession and holds master's degree, PhD in public health, and a postdoctorate in health policy. Dr. Afisa, it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share with you what Ghana is doing with regards to the topic.
Yes, so we want to know what is being done by Ghana to ensure girls and young women are not left behind in accessing technology and involved in innovation and entrepreneurship.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam MC. Director Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. I know it's afternoon there, Ghana is still morning. The use of the internet among children, especially girls and women, is on the rise and gradually becoming an intrinsic part of the daily lives of every nation. The internet offers girls and women several opportunities in areas such as education, health, markets, entertainment, and socialization by accessing information to enhance their well-being and development. However, in as much as the digital environment has become invaluable in the lives of girls and women, they can be lured into becoming victims of cybercrime or groomed to become perpetrators of cybercrimes. And this calls for stricter attention from caregivers, duty bearers, and government. Ladies and gentlemen, in Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, who is the AU gender champion, has put a robust system in place to protect the rights of girls and women online. The government, through the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, has established the National Cybersecurity Center, as well as appointing a National Cybersecurity Advisor to coordinate cybersecurity in government and across all sectors. These actions have contributed to the establishment of a Child Online Protection Department. When we come to school sensitization, Ghana launched its Safer Digital campaign in the year 2018 with regional sensitization events held nationwide for selected senior high schools, which reach out to about 7,000 students and teachers in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service Guidance and Counseling Units. Over 40,000 students and teachers have been sensitized across the 16 regions of Ghana in the year 2019, edition of the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month celebration. The awareness creation was part of the national efforts to raise awareness on cyber crimes and cybersecurity, with particular emphasis on improving on girls' cybersecurity readiness to protect children, girls, and women in the use of internet. Incident reporting channels. The National Cybersecurity Authority has also set up a cybersecurity and cybercrime incident reporting points of contact in Ghana to provide users with platforms and channels to report cybercrime and cybersecurity incidents to the authority for further analysis and response. The points of contact comprise of 6 main channels, and they are phone call, SMS, WhatsApp, emails, mobile app, and online form. International celebrations. Ghana also joined the world to celebrate Safer Internet Day to promote and protect the safety and positive use of digital technology among children, young people, and women on the second Tuesday of every February each year. In terms of policy and regulatory framework, the National Child Online Protection Framework, which was developed by a steering committee set up by government in the year 2016, has also been revised, taking inspiration from the 2020 version of the We Protect Global Alliance Model National Response. Pursuant to this, the framework has expanded its scope to cover all forms of online child sexual exploitation and abuse in Ghana. Now, moving down to procedures for child sexual abuse materials. Ghana has also launched the Internet Watch Foundation Child Online Protection, as well as operationalized the Internet Watch Foundation reporting portal for the removal of and reporting of child sexual abuse materials being accessed from Ghana but hosted outside the country. In terms of legislation, we recently passed Cybersecurity Act 2020, and this has provision that criminalizes online grooming of girls and women, online enticement of children for sexual abuse, sextortions, and the production, viewing, and distribution of child sexual abuse materials. Looking at the Digital Forensic Lab, the Digital Forensic Lab has been established within the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service to provide solid evidence to investigate and prosecute criminals and also protect children and young women online. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude my statement by reaffirming that we have done a lot in this area and we are committed in doing much, and also to learn from our member countries or other countries who have done even greater than what we are currently doing. We have applied digital technology in the area of education, and it has improved education a lot. If I'm going to talk on the educational aspects, I think I will take all of your time. In one of the regions in Ghana called Manfi Senior High School, and they have won the World Robotic and Coding Competition for 2 consecutive times, giving credence to the ability of girls to succeed in the field of science, engineering, technology, and mathematics when given the opportunity and requires support. In terms of school enrollment, we have seen significant increase with the free SHS. When we come to the TVET system, it has also increased. In terms of businesses, using the internet for commerce or for businesses, it has also increased. With COVID-19, digital space really played a very vital role, and this has increased in our daily activities even post-COVID. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we also have an app called Autism App, and it's also Autism App and Wawaba platform supported by our partners, UNFPA, the Youth Engagement Centers in Library Spaces and Digital Literacy Package, also supported by UNICEF, UNESCO, and others. This platform facilitates coding skills for girls and young women, and supported by our UN groups. So in order not to mention them one by one, just the UN group. The new initiative of Women in Leadership, supported by UN Women, will launch of the Outline chapter in Ghana, mainstreaming gender in food and nutrition and the value chain by World Food Programme. Just to mention a few of the activities or what we are doing when it comes to the digital space. Ladies and gentlemen, I will end here and give room for my colleagues to also make input, that I'll be available for questions or further input. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afisa Zakaria, the Chief Director for the Ministry of Gender, Women, and Social Protection in Accra, Ghana. And thank you for providing the digital space, which is much, much needed, both by women, young people, you've mentioned children's, and also working on not only on a technical level, but also on a legislation, on policies. That has been also mentioned by by Mr. Samuel.
Thank you so much. And happy International Women's Day to us all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Participants, please mute yourself so that the program is not interrupted. We hope that Dr. Afisa Zakaria will stay for the questions, so please hold on the questions. So next on the list is Dr. Meseret Zelalem. So little about Dr. Meseret Zelalem. She's the director for the Maternal, Child and Adolescent Health and Nutrition Director at the Federal Ministry of Health, and a member of House of People Representative in Ethiopia. She is also the secretary of the National Food and Nutrition Coordination Body, and she's engaged in several advisory boards such as World Health Organization Technical Advisory Team for the African region. She obtained her medical degree from the University of Gondar in Ethiopia. Dr. Meseret, thank you for being here. We'll just please enlighten us how technology is used to promote health and well-being of women and young people, including provision of sexual and reproductive health in Ethiopia. You
Thank
have
you very
8
much.
minutes.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Abigail. This
you.
is Dr. Masarat Zalalam. Now with the new restructuring, the lead executive officer for the maternal, child and adolescent health service at the Federal Ministry of Health. By profession, I'm a pediatrician and also with the academic rank of assistant professor of pediatrics and child health with 15 years of experience. Really, I'm honored to see a very young, passionate woman, coordinating this platform. Thank you very much, Abigail. It's really my honor to see my Ethiopian fellow, very young fellow, moderating this interesting session. And let me also recognize my sister, Dr. Hafiza, from Ghana, and also our brother champion for women, well-being, Sam Norga, for opening the station, and fellow colleagues here, and a virtual platform, and the young people I see, and also the coalition. It's really a privilege for me representing my country and my nation, like having this important platform to discuss about on a men's or a day of, we have passed on the International Women's Day, but it's not for only one day. We need to celebrate every day. It's all across, 365 days. So my privilege to be this very important panel, and let me also recognize Plan International for inviting me for this excellent platform at my back-to-back, mission I do have in Dubai. I'm out of Paris, and really, this is a virtual platform, how the world is connected. If it were not in virtual platform, I don't think I can really happen there in Addis today for your meeting. So thank you once again. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My honor once again. So to start with the policy and the strategy, the government of Ethiopia is giving due attention, for health, because health is a fundamental human right, by law, and also we have our own policy and strategy. We used to revise every 5 years. Now we are working on a 3-year strategy, and in line with that, we have adolescent and youth health strategy and reproductive health strategy. When you see all the policy and the strategy, mothers, children, newborns, young people, and adolescents are the forefront page of every policy and strategy. So having given this policy and strategy landscape, we are executing this strategy into, the reality. So we use a digital platform, in fact, to train people, to give information, to address access, to address equity gaps, and also to, come up with a quality service provision. And also we use it for monitoring and evaluation. We also use a digital platform for at a distance also to have a conversation. So, for example, we have the adolescent youth health strategy, which really zoom in SRH. So in line with that, we have already developed the digital platform, like we have the Yeni tab. Yeni tab is in Amharic. There is, an application which has 6 versions, which is, documented and prepared in 6 languages, 6 local language, which is designated for young people, which is a comprehensive one, including some component of life skill, and also where they can have access to have the information. We have really placing a free tool for, 7 days of a week, a day, a week, and also they get that information through the free, call service. So that's one platform. And when we see our technology that we are using to capture the health data in a district level, so we use a DHIS to NDCHIS. In that, the top components are the maternal component, the SRH, young and adolescent people component is there. So that's when the infrastructure is there. And also we translate the strategy and, the guidelines on that. And also for family planning, we have also we already developed application, for the service providers. And we are also using that one for the service, for the clients. So that now this is a high time to exhaustively use the digital platform to in fact, to get connected with the peoples and also to train peoples, both providers and, the clients, and also to collect the data to monitor and evaluate, and also to leverage the service quality using the mobile technology, because this is a very high time to use all the digital platform as far as that is context specific, as far as that's culturally sensitive and plausible for the communities that we have. So that's it. And in addition with this, technology is evolving. And so it needs really context specific. For example, when it comes to younger people and adolescents, we are on a way to massively use that platform, because Ethiopia has started, the Adolescent Youth Forum national platform. So we have the youth engagement manual. So that youth engagement manual is well translated in a way that young people are a part of technical member for the national platform. And also we have the annual Adolescent and Youth forum. So in that forum, we started in the first era of, COVID pandemic, where everyone is, at their place, where we try to navigate using the virtual platform to bring more than 1,000, young people in the nation to gather with a virtual platform. That was the very beginning. That has been blessed by Her Excellency, our Madam President. And also now this is the fourth time where we are preparing for the next year, the National Adolescent and Youth Health Forum. This is really a multi-sectoral. We try to engage the education sector, technology and innovation, and also we engage the women in social affairs. And also we bring, the young champion all over the region. So this is really an amazing and impactful platform where we can advocate health and well-being of the young people, adolescent, and the nation. So now you know that the World Health Organization is on a way of preparation for this year. By the end of 2023, there will be the first in kind, gathering of more than 1 million young people in the world. So Ethiopia is already championing that one. We'll definitely can't wait to share our experience. So I will definitely come back to you for any Q&A, and then thank you very much indeed. Over to you, Abigail. I don't want to take much time in this because I see young people are here. We need to be not like that much
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Meseret Zelalem, and thank you for really enlightening us like how technology can really promote health and well-being of women. And you also have included young people in the sexual and reproductive health in Ethiopia, mentioning how we can collect data, how we can train, how we can also have National Adolescent Health Forum. That is, you've also shared us how Ethiopia is also championing the technology and also health wise. And this kind of platform is where we hear about what our country is doing, what is being done, what is being achieved, and what on what areas do we lack and we need to work at. So both the experience from Dr. Afisa and also Dr. Meseret has been an enlightenment. Now we move forward to the next panelist, Mr. Emolot Alan David. Mr. Emolot Alan David is the chairperson of the Continental Youth Advisory Council on the African Continental Free Trade Area, a youth-led body unveiled by His Excellency Wamkele Mene, a young person himself, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. It was formed under guidance and stewardship of ULEAD Africa, the MS TCDC, and the GIZ Africa Union Liaison Office. and launched on 9th of November 2021. He is also the national coordinator for the African Youth Charter Hustlers Uganda. We can't wait to see you, such a young person here, and also with so many honors.
No, thank you. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, colleagues, for joining in today. My name, as I've mentioned, I'm Mamolot. Yes, we try as much to do a lot more with the little time we have in the youth space. So very soon we will be out of the youth space. So we try as much to maximize our efforts in that one. So I think, thank you for that introduction. But if you may allow me, let me just call in quickly my colleague, Anele, to just make a quick presentation. Then I will be coming back to wrap up. I had already communicated this with Billy. Currently, we are busy winding up the protocol discussions around the women and youth in trade, and also highly preparing for the business forum. So we are in back and forth engagements, but nonetheless, I came with my colleagues ready. We didn't want to miss this opportunity. I have Anela on the call, but I also have Christy on the call, and they will always be jumping in. Then I will eventually come do the wrap. But yes, thank you.
Participants, if you can kindly mute yourself. So
yes,
we'll
Anele?
be inviting Anele. She'll be giving us she has a presentation on how can technology support the implementation of AFCFTA, what can be done to ensure for young people and specifically young women are not left behind in the process. Miss Anele.
Thank you
Hi.
so much. And happy Women's Day to all of us, for the whole land. I'm not sure if I'm able to share my screen, but I'll just talk offhand. It's not a very big presentation. Let me just begin.
Yes, our technical team will be in support. You can share it.
Sorry about this. I'm not sure if you can all see it now. Yes?
It's visible.
Okay, perfect. Okay, it's not a very long presentation. I'm just going to try to not be very technical, just to see how the AFCFTA, which is the Continental Trade Agreement, can use technology in order to help women in trade as well as young people. We always sort of mention them together. So how can technology support the implementation of the AFCFTA? First of all, I think one of the challenges that we have as a continent is gender inequality. And this gender inequality then impacts the inclusive growth that the trade agreement is trying to bring about. Africa is the second most unequal continent because there are very big gaps in between rich and poor. If I'm not mistaken, I think South Africa on the continent leads this very big inequality gap. And in that inequality gap, of course, women are then compromised because they're the ones who are at the lesser end of it. And in the Economic Development for Africa report, it was said that approximately 0.0001% of the African population owns 40% of the entire wealth on the continent. And while I don't have that statistic readily available, I'm sure we can all guess that women make up a very small number of the 0.0001, which is already such a tiny number. So we definitely believe that technology is capable of helping. If we could leverage advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence for issues like reporting in terms of trade, issues like signing documents online, issues like seeing what's available and how you can access another person's business from your own country, looking at data management tools, payment infrastructures like mobile money payments, not needing to use cash across the border, which also involves, of course, currency conversions and all of that. So if we have tools that are technology-based, it will definitely sort of accelerate trade on the continent. So I'm going to just quickly go back to this one. So how can the Pan-African Payments System work? So the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System is an initiative by the Afrexim Bank. And this is just one of the ways that the African Free Trade Agreement is using technology to accelerate trade on the continent. And it's unique to this trade agreement. So it's quite a big deal. So basically what it is that it ensures instant or nearly instant transfer of funds between originators in one African country to another. So basically what would happen is, if you follow along here, say, for example, I am sitting in South Africa and I want to make a purchase in Ghana, for example. They use, I think, the cedi and we are using the rand. Normally, you would have to first go to your bank, do a currency conversion, usually first into dollars, and then currency convert into the Ghanaian currency in order to be able to buy. But with this tool, you basically will be able to, on your app, use your local currency, and it's going to be happening in real time, and buy something from another person's local currency, as well as sending money. So you could be the sender, and then it goes through your bank or your financial institution. It goes through the PAPS system, and then the other person receives it in Ghana. At no point did you have to first convert into another major currency like the dollar, and then convert into a local currency, and then it gets to the other person. So this is what they are working on. And this is another way that technology can make intercontinental trade much easier, more streamlined, and accelerated. Another one that I'd like to highlight how technology is able to accelerate intercontinental trade is the mechanism for reporting, monitoring, and eliminating non-tariff barriers. That's such a mouthful. So if you were to go to the www.tradebarriers.org, you would come to this website. This website is for cross-border trade. And right now it's functional between the Regional Economic COMESA, as well as SADC, as well as the EAC. So how it would work is that if, for example, you are a cross-border trader and you're an informal cross-border trader, for example, or small, medium enterprises, and you want to go from your country, let's say Botswana, and you want to send some goods over to Zimbabwe. When you get to the border, then you there encounter a problem. What would historically happen is that your goods would be sent back because you have a problem. You have to go through a really lengthy process to report what has happened. And then the feedback also takes a long time. So it is very, very bureaucratic. But because of technology, we now have this website, which is actually operational for AFCFTA already. And complaints are also there if you wanted to see complaints, if you wanted to read the complaints, and if you wanted to see how long it takes to resolve a complaint. This is not complaints revolving around taxation at the border, so customs fees, no. These are non-tariff barriers. So things that are stopping you from trading that are not related to the actual customs fees. So, for example, okay, if I can move forward, 1 second. Okay, so this is how it would look. For example, if you went under the complaints tab, this is what you would typically see. This is just from today, and I don't know if it shows on your side, but the very first complaint was launched just this month, the beginning of the month. It was launched by a trader from Uganda who is having difficulty accessing the Kenyan markets because of a current import ban on milk products. So on the website, they can just easily log in and complain and say, this is what happened on the 6th of March. The government of Kenya, through the Kenya Dairy Board, stopped issuing import permits for powdered milk, for example. Someone on the other side will then have a look to see if this is true and how can they resolve this with the government. Basically, this helps us to make sure that you can report in real time anytime that you are having barriers to trade that are not related to customs. And secondly, that your claim can be received in real time and dealt with in real time as well. So this is just one of the ways that technology is making issues that were previously very pertinent and very difficult. It's just streamlining them and making sure that trade can happen at a faster rate. Next slide. Okay. So how can we then formalize the informal sector using digital technology? We know that in Africa, a bulk of the informal traders and informal cross-border traders are actually women. And because women are mostly the ones who are impacted, something like 85% of small-scale traders were women in 2021, and most of them are quite young women at the age of only 32. In Botswana, for example, more women, 61%, are participating in informal cross-border trade. And just because it is informal and it's cross-border, small-scale trade, it doesn't mean that the treaty should not address them, because they're actually the bulk of the trade that we are seeing. They might not be the bulk in terms of finance, but in terms of numbers and volume. In West Africa, it's estimated that women represent between 70 and 90% of small-scale traders in that region. And that's from the African Development Bank. So that means that we need to put women as well as youth, informal traders, at the forefront of the agreement and see how we can use technology to make them better traders, to leverage technology to help them trade safer and more efficiently. Even though the informal economy is not necessarily organized and is not readily represented in the discussions, because the protocols don't really deal with informal trade, it doesn't mean that it's going to be discarded. We need to foster more discussions on how we can implement the AFCFTA to help informal traders. So looking at emerging technologies, for example, is one of the ways that can be achieved. The AFCFTA will not only help to eliminate paper-based port management. For example, when you get to the border, having to fill in a form or having to present your import license or having to present your permits, these can all be done online. It's safer, you don't lose documents as much, and it will actually make the processes much, much faster. So I will hand over to my colleague, David Emelit, to speak about how the online academy by Ikoyaka can actually help women in terms of training and accessing information with regards to the treaty, so that we can get women more involved and more educated on the treaty and how we can benefit them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anele Simon. It was such a great presentation. As you can also see from the chat box. And thank you for mentioning the important things on non-tariff barriers and how it also became easy to put complaints on a digital-like basis. And also have formalized the informal sector by using digital sector. And you've also said the AI, digital management tools, the payment infrastructure, and seeing all that, I believe that we really need to hear from David how this can also be seen from the women perspective, because this could really also enhance the gender disparity unless we have other mechanisms.
Yes, thank you.
You have 4 minutes.
Yes. Thank you. Hope I can wrap up within the 4 minutes. But thank you, Abigail. And I think Anele raises very critical issues. And when we are talking about women, especially young women, in this digital era, first of all, I would want to note that this is the first era in the history of the world that the world is interconnected. And that interconnectedness is led by the youth themselves. So we have the youth in the TikTok, the Instagram, talk of the Facebooks, and so on. Many, especially during the COVID-19. And this is what I loved about the youth. And it's the reason as to why the council is actually existing. During the COVID-19 lockdown, we saw many of our youth, not limited by the lockdown, but trading, using those youth selling lipstick, selling clothes, and they would pack them up and send them. That alone put pressure on the AFCFTA Secretariat to speeden up the protocol on digital trade or the e-commerce, which right now is like more the tool that our African women and youth need to take advantage of. Need to really take advantage of this tool. And in it, we were talking about the issues of data, the issues of just ensuring that our government don't infringe on the digital space to let our women trade. And bringing it back to the challenge of our women taking advantage of this is mainly to do with the digital literacy. This is something I think when I was talking to Billy, I was actually telling, is it Billy, or as I was preparing for this engagement with Anele, we're discussing a bit of what can we do, what needs to be done currently. Because for us, we are here to create solutions to the existing problems. And what we need is to start with, a small start with, is a bootcamp that we can engage our young women traders. And I would interest, I see the ED here, Mr. Sam is here, to see if we could work together on a digital trade bootcamp where we start already, instead of discussing these issues, we are here to implement. We already start on capacitating these youth with digital tools. They don't need everything. They only need specific tools that are going to enable them to trade. The other sector, the other group of women that are being forgotten are these village savings group women, where the bigger majority of funds that facilitate this small business that Anela is talking about come from those businesses, not the banks, not the microfinance, but this village savings group. These are also some of the groups that we need to capacitate with AFCFTA knowledge, but also with this digital knowledge to ensure that they get to understand it, they get to appreciate it. And I believe it is a program that we can run at the continental level to see that we train our young women to take advantage of mainly these specific tools that will enable them take advantage of their business. Because if they go through the normal, as I conclude, if they go through the normal business registration process, you very well know there are very many stringent processes of registering these businesses. But we have seen that these businesses can actually thrive through the digital space. And our goal as the Youth Advisory Council and you as the development partners is to see that we leverage on this amazing opportunity we have currently in the 21st century to then ensure that our women and youth in trade take advantage of these digital tools to scale up their businesses or to accelerate or even make their business ideas a reality. So ideally, as I conclude, is mainly a call to action to all of us here. I'm happy that the government of Ethiopia is also here, and Ethiopia is one of those countries that have really taken advantage. And the feedback, the presentation was amazing to know that Ethiopia has actually taken advantage to digitalize. What we're actually also calling other member states is to see we take full initiative to localize the AFCFTA in these local languages. Amharic, I think, was one of the languages that was used to localize the AFCFTA. And when it actually was launched, I was the first to share it around that, you know what, Ethiopia is leading the way for the African continent. And this needs to be done in Yoruba. It needs to be done in even the Swana. My sister Nele here in South Africa. We also need to ensure that all these languages, this AFCFTA is demystified. So Abigail, as I conclude, is mainly a call to action for all of us. Number one is to share the AFCFTA information. Number two, especially on the protocol, the protocol on digital trade, which is mainly the main framework that we as youth are using to advocate for our government to reduce the data rates for us to be able to trade, to also stop putting stringent measures on curbing down these social media platforms. Some of the countries like Uganda, where I come from, up to date, we don't have Facebook, and it was one of the main trading platforms for our youth. So these are some of the things our governments are frustrating us to, but the idea is to see we pick it up from there. And for Plan International, the AU Liaison Office, is for us to come up with a capacity building program that is tailored at ensuring that these youth, the women and youth in trade, are capacitated with digital tools they can take advantage of to actually scale up their businesses or even go continental with the AFCFTA. Asante sana. I've said a lot, but thank you so much. Yeah.
Asante sana. So, contribute to this area. Now, please stay tuned because we still have the chance for all participants to have questions, to forward your question, and also share more experience. Now, the next will be Miss Atemke Cynthia. You probably will correct me in the pronunciation. So, Miss Atemke Cynthia is a young girl from Cameroon, aged 25 years. Such a young person. She's a final year university student studying special education. She's also secretary at Faba Media Studios, the foundation of Cindy Bless Foundation, which is aimed at empowering young girls and women with disabilities in Cameroon. Atemke is also an award winner in 2019 and 2020 as the best female community leader in her community. She's also a volunteer in Smile Africa, which is an organization aimed at empowering young girls and vulnerable children. Miss Atemke Cynthia, please, you have all the time. Can't wait to see you. Are you here?
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear
Good
me?
afternoon.
Actually, I'm actually working now, but I'm going to say my presentation will not be long. I'm just going to share what other women with disability are facing in our country here in Cameroon related to technology. The truth be told, it's very difficult for women with disability to access technology due to the fact that most women with disability are not educated. Yes, most women with disability are not. Most women with disability are not educated, and the government needs to see into consideration that. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Maybe not clear. Maybe if we. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now clear and loud.
Okay. I was saying that most of us women with disability really find it challenging to access technology in Cameroon because sometimes most activities are being done in a technological way, like during the crisis period when Cameroon was having the crisis between the north and the south crisis. Most activities during that period was online, and it was really challenging for most people or most women with disability to get this particular information. One of the reasons is because, first, the education of women with disability are not really taken into consideration here in Cameroon. Even though the government has given free education for persons with disability, but most families don't really encourage their girl children to go to school, which is very, very challenging. And due to that fact, it makes a lot of girls with disability to stay in the house, and they don't have any information about technology. But with the help of our foundation, that is the Bless Foundation, we have able to advocate to young women with disability in their various community, here in Cameroon, to ensure that parents educate their girl children, because education of a girl child is very, very important. Without education, they can't have access to technology. And like right now, we have a project going on where persons with disability have to undergo a 4 months training course on technology. They are going to be training them on Microsoft Word, Excel, Publisher, and data analysis, which is going to help them to also gain employment from their home. We want to create an environment where women with disability can just sit in their various homes using their laptop and gain employment. They can be working only in their house, which is very, very important because, first, Cameroon does not actually have a complete accessibility, because most of the environment where these people are found, they are not accessible. So to go to other maybe offices or any environment to get this technology is really, really challenging. That is why we have created an environment or a program where women with disability will get training online, and most of their activities will be done at home using their laptops, which is going to help them greatly. And also, here in Cameroon, we really have another challenges of technology, because when most offices are implementing or building their offices, they are not taking into consideration that women with disability or persons with disability have to access that environment. So the environment totally is not inclusive, and most women with disability find it that challenging to access technological environment here in Cameroon. But the greatest challenge is the level of education, because most women with disability are not educated. But we are trying our best to encourage them to go to school. We are trying our best to encourage their family. That is why we start from educating or advocating for the rights of a girl child with disability, so that their parents will not keep them in their house. Because keeping women with disability in the house is a very common scenario here in Cameroon, which is actually wrong. We have gone past those days. So every woman with disability or every girl child with disability have the right to access technology, because technology is not only about using your laptop, it's not only about using your computer. When you are using your phone, it's part of technology, because there are some persons with disability or women with disability that have phones, but they can't access it. They can't get to information, because sometimes when you pass them information through the phone, they can't access it, because why? They don't even have the knowledge on how to use those phones. That is why we are there to advocate and to teach them on how to use it. So that is just all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Esteemed King. Yes, mentioning on women with disability looking the question that many women with disability are not going to schools, which somehow also incapacitates all women's to not be able to use the internet, the digital world efficiently. And thank you again for the work you're doing to make it accessible to capacitate women's, because this program is aiming to ensure that no woman is left behind from innovation, technology, and digitalization. So please stay tuned, because we're going to be asking you so many questions. Next, we will have Johanna Ermias. Little about Johanna Ermias. She is a versatile and accomplished tech entrepreneur with over 6 years of experience in software development and product management. She also she is also the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of Go Financial Technology. She has demonstrated exceptional leadership in driving the growth of her innovative ROSCA P2P fintech startup, leveraging her self-taught expertise in computer science. Joanna has excelled in software development, UX, UI design, branding, product marketing, while adeptly managing projects from concept to completion. They're exactly some of the things that I don't even understand. That's why this platform is here, right? We need to know more about, we need digital literacy. So, Johanna, please enlighten us to your world.
Definitely. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you. And I'm really happy to be here. I'm sorry that I don't have my video on. I'm in the West Coast in the US, and it's 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. here. So apologies for that. Okay, should I go ahead?
So some questions to you would be, share us your experience, challenge, and also opportunities as a young woman tech entrepreneur. And the second would be, what is your advice on how to improve gender disparity in tech industry, and what can be done to encourage young women with innovative ideas in the technology industry?
Definitely. I also see a comment here that says to speak up. Can you hear me now?
Yes, clear and sound. So can we confirm?
At least is audible enough now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I'll start with a little bit of my background, and then I can get into the, my journey into technology, because I think it's relevant to the story. So I grew up in Ethiopia. I left Ethiopia when I was 13 years old to a boarding school in the United States to, same story, to pursue education, better opportunities. One thing though that I didn't have was inspiration to, what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't, although I had the privilege of being able to go to a school in the US, I did not understand what I wanted to do. So I did, what most of us will be pushed to do, which is, either become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, one of these fields. So I picked doctor. It sounded good to me at that time. And I told myself a story, and I decided to go into medical school, which is not an easy thing to try to accomplish. And a few years into my my college years, into pursuing medicine, I realized that that's not really what I wanted to do. I had a friend that used to code at that time, which was developing applications, and I had no idea this world of technology that existed, but I had no idea what the back end of that looked like, how all of these softwares, all of these things that we use on the daily were being developed. And the moment I saw someone, coding on a computer and being able to put, thought and creativity into something and click play, and then you get to see your application on a computer screen, that was almost like magic to me. And I was very inspired, all of the possibilities, all of the things that you could possibly do with this newfound inspiration. So I started teaching myself, and this is where the story gets really interesting and I think is very relevant, is that I didn't need to, stop my degree and go pursue another degree in order for me to go into technology. Surprisingly, in this field, I was able to take all of my technology courses or software development courses online. So I did everything online. And another interesting thing is also that I did it for free. So I taught myself fully how to code for free, leveraging YouTube, leveraging some other platforms that existed at that time, like Udemy, Udacity, and I taught myself how to code, which is, it's such a huge feat and such a change in dynamic. Eleni and Emalot, I hope I didn't mispronounce your names, but you spoke a lot about leveraging the 21st century and the technology and leapfrogging using the technology that we have today. And that's exactly my experience. That's what I did with teaching myself. And then also later going on, and I founded 3 technology companies, which one is also, surprisingly, you mentioned it, Emalot, about SACCOs, which are savings groups within villages. And Roskas are P2P lending and saving apparatus, like the traditional financial solutions, which we took and we digitized. So that's the company that I'm running right now. But just to wrap up this part of the conversation, is that the thing I want to highlight is it didn't, me being a woman, although there were other experiences that deterred me in other ways. Technology and the dynamics of learning have changed. So a lot of the limitations that we would see in the past, I don't believe that they fully exist now. And if we realize how much things have changed, how available things are now, and all of the things that, in the past that when we tried to put up campaigns and policies, and we went out and we put programs and camps to put women through so that we can upskill them. All of the frictions that we had in the past, we don't have them now. So it's a different game. I think that the dynamics of several things have changed. And if, now is the time to look at what are the things that have changed and how can we leverage this to completely leapfrog our circumstances and be in a better place than we used to be, by enabling the youth, by creating, inspiring, by educating, by training, and then by providing resources, and also by later on providing opportunities so that the skills that have been built can go into practice. And I am an example of that. So that's what I would like to highlight today, is how much things have changed and we should leverage it.
Thank you very much, Johanna. You're like a living proof. Women can code, and women can live in the digital world. And like what we have been told. Just one question to you. You talked about, you've taken us through your application of Ukub, and can you say a little bit more and how if you also have a plan to make it continental platform?
I would love that. Yeah, definitely. I didn't want to take too much time talking about the product, but I always love talking about it, so I can do that. So what we built is, as we all know, it's very difficult to have access to credit in Ethiopia, but I can also confidently say in most countries in Africa, it's very difficult to walk up to a bank and say, I need this much money, here's my collateral, give me that money, for different reasons. Due to lack of having a credit market that's well established, lack of digital financial information. So because you don't have digital financial information, there's no way for the bank to look at your credit score, your credit report, and say this person is credit worthy. So we're willing to take a risk and give them some credit. And credit is very important for the market, for consumerism, for entrepreneurship, for everything that we do. So what we did is we realized that even though the banks and the microfinances were mobilizing so much savings, so you're keeping your money in the bank, but there's not really any credit going back to the same people that are putting money in the bank.
Apologies, Miss Niardazi, can you mute yourself? Miss Johanna, are you still there?
I am here.
Please proceed.
Yes. So what we did is we realized that in the market there was already a solution that people were using called Roskas, or if you have Ethiopians on this chat, you'll be familiar with the word Ukub, and this traditional financial solution exists in many African countries and even around the world, where a group of people will come together and, based on trust, they will pool together, let's say, $10. Let's just use the dollar as a currency here. And you'll pull together $10 each, and 10 people will now have $100. So that $100 will go to the first person, based on a lottery, will go to the first person that wins that lottery. And all that person has to do is come back and pay back $10 every month. So this is a way to get, collateral-free, interest-free, hassle-free credit from a group of people. But there are limitations, right? Because it's very rooted in proximity. People have to be very close to each other to be able to access these Roskas. So how can we take this amazing traditional financial solution that is working, and we see that it's working, and scale it? How can I allow, Abigail, for you, I figure that you're in Addis right now, to be sitting in Addis and find an Ukub that is of your preference, of 100, per a month, or 100,000 per a month, that has 10 people, 20 people in it, and you can easily search it on an application and find somebody maybe in Bahardar or somewhere else that also has created an Ukub or is in an Ukub, and you can easily join it. And we will create the frameworks of trust and insurance and other things to enable you to access the credit that you need from money that would otherwise be in banks and be mobilized but not be dispersed properly in the credit market. So I think I've taken enough time to explain to you what this tool is. If people have questions, I'd be happy to answer, but it's the digitization of Roskas and P2P lending and savings solutions is what we do.
Thank you very much. Of course, stay here because we have a Q&A session. Is my voice audible?
It is. I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Miss Johanna. Of course, you've also showed us that you used what's available there. You didn't go like an extra mile, but like you already got leveraged the advantage we gave from the digital world like YouTube. And I think this could be a great lesson for a young woman like me and others in Africa and all over the world. Thank you very much. So now this is a moment where we were all waiting for, right? The Q&A session. So of course, we were taking notes of the questions that you were forwarding on the chat box. So participants, if you would like to forward the question, this is your moment. So when forwarding your question, please mention who the question is exactly for. Saying that, I'll start my question from the chat box. This is for Dr. Afisa, if you're here. So this question is specifically about how the data bundle is too high or is expensive nowadays, and the money circulation is always poor. So how can we address and respond to this development, taking note that in order to make it affordable to promote business, education, health service? Dr. Afisa, are you there?
Please, I'm there. The question is about the cost of the data bundle, is that it?
Yes, it's not affordable. So in this rate, how can we still progress on developing or enhancing the digital world?
Fortunately, these days, Ghana, with our statistics, almost above 80% of people in Ghana, they own mobile phones. And with the data bundle, you don't need to buy a big data bundle to access internet. You can buy a small bit of the data and you are easy to go. So you don't need big data bundle to be able to access the internet.
So any other question from the participant list? One from the chat box and one from the audience. So if there is any other question. Ongwek Victor, you have the floor.
Yes, good afternoon here in Uganda. My name is Ongwek Victor.
Good afternoon.
As clearly stated. First of all, thanks for the opportunity given to me to be on this line. Second, appreciation goes to all the presenters that have been giving their input here and there. Well, a question was asked about the affordability of data. And in response, our mother is saying, you buy what you can afford. For example, now here, we are in this digital era. In Uganda, the cheapest data that you can talk of is at 500 Ugandan shillings, which is about 25 MBs. If you are to do business What kind of business will you do with this 25 MBs? I mean, data bundle of just 500 shillings. What happened if this data was made affordable to all? For example, free internet access to the nation. Isn't that possible that a country can have an internet free access for every Ugandans or people in that particular country? I guess it is very much possible, aware that we always give in money where it is not supposed to be. For example, much of our money in Uganda, the taxpayers' money, is going into something that is not bringing development. What happens if you make this data affordable to all, vis-a-vis, we look at how to empower our rural communities to absorb and appreciate the needs to use data for effective business management. I happen to be at the border of Uganda and DR Congo, which is just about 15 kilometers away from where I stay. When you get inside the other side of DR Congo, there is no information sharing. You come this side of Uganda, it is almost the same story. Yet our people are taking their businesses here to the other side, business that comes from that side to here. What happened? Where is the missing link? As in, why can't we do something that can help transform the life of our community by making this data affordable, having an online engagement like this, which brings on board more people? The project is targeting the rural the women.
Yes, Victor?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I might have to stop you in order to give also time for other participants. But if you can, I can give you like seconds to refrain your question and forward it. If you want to say one thing, and then you may proceed.
No, it is okay. Now let the next person comes in. I hope the other one of mine will speak.
Thank you very much. It's such a great question. Okay, we need the internet to be affordable, and I hope Dr. Afisa there have heard the question. She'll come back with the answers. Miss Nyardazai, I'm sorry, Nyardazai Ambozan Fanda. I'm really sorry to pronounce your name this way.
Don't apologize.
If you can correct me.
How are you? And congratulations. Great moderations there. I mean, just in great presentations. My name is Nyaradzai. I'm with Rosaria Memorial Trust, and we are members of the Break Free Consortium. And I wanted to share and make a recommendation. Online engagement is so critical for access to services. And the time services are being online, available also online. So I wanted to find out how can we expand the rapid response for cases of gender-based violence, for abuse against girls, for child marriage. We know that we've had toll-free numbers using the phone, but now with technology, how can we scale up? Are there models out there where we can scale up rapid response referral mechanisms online so that we can have information in real time to respond to girls at risk or girls in a crisis or children in a crisis and in situation of violence? I'm very excited about this work, and again, congratulations. And we look forward to taking this conversation further into the Africa Girls Summit. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Wasane Mogoya, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you. I'm Joshua. Thank you. I'm Joshua from Plan, Uganda. My issue, like letting girls access internet, is something we are trying, but there are issues they are facing. Like if you use Twitter, Twitter will make a girl a celebrity in one day. Then safeguarding issues will come in. It's a question for Ghana. Are there some procedures or safeguarding issues you have gotten so far for the girls that have engaged online, and how have they been handled? Thank you.
I'm sorry, if you can repeat the question.
Yeah, my question is girls are accessing internet, especially Twitter and WhatsApp. And as they access, as you know, the influence of technology or the global connectivity, a girl becomes, as the girl is advocating, or as a young woman is advocating, becomes a celebrity within one day and is exposed to very many people. Sometimes people have bad influences or bad ideologies, which in the long run may come out to bring GBV. So how has there been such a case in Ghana, and how has it been handled? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, so for now we'll be taking these questions and we'll come back to you after these questions have been addressed. So keep it with you. So seems like Dr. Afisa is there, and most of the questions are also forwarded to you, Dr. Afisa. So the first is, how can we make the internet affordable? This seems like a question to come again, but in a sense that lobbying service providers to reduce cost and also to even make it free so that it can be accessible for everyone. And the second question is, how can we use technology for rapid response for cases of abuse and child marriage? This could also be answered by Dr. Masarat if you're here. And the third question is, how can we also, like, we're advocating for digital literacy, we're advocating for digital space for women. At the same time, they are also going to be facing gender-based violence since they are going to be exposed to many people. So if there is just such cases, please let us know. And also, please let us share us how that kind of cases are being handled in Ghana.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. I think the first question has been answered. The data being expensive and, for that matter, not affordable for the general public in our various countries. Well, that's particular aspects. We all know that the various data groups, these are business people or corporate bodies. They are not being run by various governments. They're rather various business groups that run that. Yes, we can advocate so that they bring down the prices. And various countries can also maybe acquire data, which I know that aspect will be a bit difficult. But we can still lobby the various corporate groups to bring down the cost of data for us to have access to internet or the digital space. Just to give you, that's the second point I'm moving to. To give you an example of what we are doing in terms of child marriage, we have toll-free numbers. Anyone can call into that. We have an application we call Boame app. This Boame app means, in English, help me. And it's targeting people who are abused. That's gender-based violence. And so they can call into this toll-free number. We even have 2 additional numbers, but those ones for the general public on social protection generally. But we have an app which is for gender-based violence. So people call in freely to report cases. They can also type. They can ask questions and then get responses through the application. And so with such an application, individuals don't need to buy or to have access to my data, like I was stressing, because for now, yes, it's not everybody who can sort of afford the data to use in areas, but we need to also limit to the critical areas that we think will improve our lives. The data we have, we can focus on that. So we have toll-free numbers that people can call in, report on child marriage, violence in our homes or communities and workplaces and the rest. So those applications exist. Then coming to girls being exposed to the internet and other crimes may emerge or they can influence others negatively. Yes, Ghana, we've had cases of that sort. And during my presentation, I also made mention that we have a National Cybersecurity Authority, which has been set up, and they monitor the cyber space, and they also report on cases. Even on the media outlets, they monitor where people are found to be inappropriately presenting themselves. Yes, they face the law. So we've had cases of that sort, and the law has taken its course, or the law took its course. So these are things, we are doing. So the Cybersecurity Authority is very active and is working.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afisa. Dr. Massaret, if you can add on the second question, how we can use technology for rapid response for cases, abuse, child marriage. This could go to many other issues as well regarding to health. So you may proceed.
Thank you very much. I do recognize a good point. Technology has both, leveraging the existing system and also hasten the service provision. In addition, it also improves literacy and access. On other way, we have to make sure that there is also shortcomings and untoward effects of, digital space, especially for young people and, adolescent girls. They guess, be vulnerable for any of the application, perhaps, unless they're pretty much protected. So that's why we shouldn't, prescribe every digital space for young people, for girls, because we have to protect them from exploitation of, whatsoever the mechanism. So in particular, the digital space is good for, information, making them literate and be aware of the system, what's being on. And then if there is something, happening, they have to be, in a way that in a position where to really request, support, and how can fastly access, the service. So that, for example, in a health sector, we have the free toll. So that free toll is, providing the information. There are counselors. There are, trained people in the Ministry of Health with a free call service. We provide a 24-hour, a service, information provision for anyone seeking any health information or advice. So that's one. The other thing is, I have already said the application, which you have in 6 languages. So that's really a comprehensive one, that it gives them a full information on health and nutrition and, aspect of, and also the skill component is there in the application for young people to be well aware of health. and nutrition also to get protected. So that's one. So I can say this is a way that we can really maximize the access, maximize the service provision even at the distance, and also it gives the room for literacy of our community. So when we see still the technology is in place, and we need to ensure that I have to join my colleague Dr. Afisa was mentioning, there must be a controlling mechanism on a cyberspace, or everyone has to be protected from any problem happening. So that so we need to always coach them, inform them, and then monitor and evaluate what's going on, and we have to ensure that technology is customized and tailored one based on the context of the indigenous knowledge, based on the context of the culture and the religion doctrine that most of the people is following. So that's what I can really say. Finally, I strongly recommend technology will improve literacy, especially when it comes to younger people, adolescents, and women. So that this will be the way that we can use the second window of opportunity to make sure that the citizen is well educated in terms of hence also the future nation that we are going to build to develop the nation and to bring prosperity. Thank you. Over to you, Abhijit. Thank you very much for your amazing moderation. It's really an honor to see. Over.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meseret, Dr. Afisa. Now I'll be giving the question to Johanna. What are the safeguarding measures that could be considered that are using internet box from Ismat Babikir? Another question would be, what do you think about collaborating with external stakeholders when it comes to a application? So, Johanna, if you're there.
Sure, Abigail. I think I missed the first part. You were muted for a moment. I don't know if it's my network, but I missed the first question.
What are the safeguarding measures that could be considered to protect girls that are using internet and social media?
Okay. So I think that's a big question. That's of course something that we'll all have to work on, given the new realities that we have. I don't think that because of the pitfalls of the new reality that we shouldn't leverage technology. I think that I can say confidently. This is our new reality. This is the future. So I do think that the pros outweigh the cons, but it is important to understand that there are cons. I think I earlier I caught some parts of the message that were being said that social media is not always friendly. We need to be wary of the kind of information that we're opening up to our youth. But that shouldn't be a deterrent to us leveraging technology. We should definitely leverage it. At the same time, we should keep an eye on the pitfalls, which I don't think this is, this is only the beginning of the pitfalls that we're seeing. And so the more technology evolves, the more AI evolves, the more all of these applications and evolve of technology, we're going to see more pitfalls and more ways that it can be abused. And we could, the same way we would assess risks in other industries and try to mitigate them, we should also do that here. But that should be a second point to the conversation, whereas the first point should always be, how do we leverage it? How do we, leverage it to enable us to leapfrog a lot of the frictions and disadvantages that we've had thus far. So the second question was, I think, in regards to collaboration.
Yes, you're of course, you mentioned that you want to make it continental. And also you mentioned there are a lot of things that not only Ethiopian, but also citizens in different African countries could also leverage from the application. But when it comes to making it happen, what's your plan to collaborate with external partners and stakeholders?
Definitely, yes. So we have several partners to date as well, different NGOs and corporate partners as well that we work with, payment processors, banks. I mean, but partnership is the way. There's no way that we're going to solve this problem alone. So we understand the value of having partners in different industries and different sectors, and in public and private, and also nonprofits that could assist us in pushing this forward. So we're very open to partnership, especially with institutions that understand the value and are already doing something in that regard, that we can come in and help you. We can bring our processes in. It doesn't have to be an application. It could be other processes as well that could be duplicated and help you drive what you're trying to do, because there are different financial initiatives that or financial inclusivity and financial gap bridging type of initiatives that happen in different sectors. So yes, we're very happy to partner. I think if you can put that answer.
Thank you, Ms. Johanna. So I'll give the floor to Ms. Anele Simon and then to Ms. Christine Magoma. So Ms. Anele Simon, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I don't have a question, but I just have two comments that I'd like to make. The first one relates to Ms. Cynthia Atimkane's presentation, which I thought was really powerful and important, the conversation we should actually be having. And with regards to the African Continental Treaty, what's really important is that we get the governments who are the member states to agree to harmonize the laws so that the laws are reflective and kind of reflective of the values, first of all, and kind of the same across the board. So basically, harmonization of laws, if you think about it, is like, if we all want to play the same game, then we should all kind of be held or benefited by the same rules. We can't have different rules across Africa and hope to have the same benefits. So for example, in South Africa, where I am, Section 6 of the Employment Equity Act actually prohibits against discrimination of employees on the basis of disability. And even though the government doesn't necessarily force private companies to employ people with disability, they do incentivize those companies. And companies, especially private companies, want those incentives, as well as to make it as part of their public image that we are an equal opportunity company. So if all governments were putting the same pressure and the same protection, then it should be reflective. So basically, if you are able to do the job that is advertised and you are just as qualified and your disability doesn't deter you from carrying out the work, why should you not get that job? And then the government will incentivize based on that, as well as trying to reach equality for women in the workplace. So they also incentivize them on gender equality. And I think if the laws could be harmonized to reflect this, of course, every country has the right to make their own laws. But if we want the treaty to be about the people, then these are the kind of things that they need to think about. And then my second comment was for Mr. Victor Ongwek's question with regards to information communication technology, or ICT, and data. And again, this also refers to having one treaty and having a bunch of laws that are harmonized from one country to another so we can reap the same benefits because we're all trying to refer to the same treaty. So for example, for cross-border interconnection, this is where if maybe I'm traveling to the neighboring country, Zimbabwe maybe, why should I have to buy a SIM card every time I go to one of the countries in Africa if they could harmonize in terms of infrastructure where I can still connect with my South African SIM card and maybe be charged at a premium in order to be able to access that network? But his comment was more about, I think, if I get it correctly here, how can the governments help the youth in order to access data, which is really expensive, by making some of those free? Here, governments obviously have limitations. I think in terms, the challenge being infrastructure, because the more that infrastructure is expensive, then it relates back down to the data costs. So where you have private companies being the ones who invested in those infrastructures, and if there's no real strict regulation on pricing, those private companies who own the infrastructure a lot of the time are going to charge a lot. And this is where we're always going to see that divide in Africa between whether you're an urban area or rural area, where somebody could have access to YouTube and some of these online formats like Johanna to kind of educate themselves more, because basically everybody has a cell phone, but the real challenge is accessing data to be able to watch, et cetera, et cetera. So the cost of broadband is usually related to the cost of infrastructure, but these are things that governments can subsidize citizens on. I think I saw a comment where you can have spots where are sponsored by the government for free Wi-Fi. Things like that are a start, because then we can't say, well, I don't have access. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anele. So, Ms. Christine, I see from the chat box that you want to give comments on gender-based violence, on online spaces, as well as internet solutions. So, due to time, can you provide on gender-based violence question on online spaces only?
All right, great. Thank you very much. My name is Christine Magoma. I am with the Ikoyaka team, but as in communications, but I've also worked with different organizations on information disorder and social media for peace, EU-funded project that was ensuring that digital spaces are safe for all, especially last year in Kenya during the electioneering period. Now that you have requested me to keep it to GBV cases on digital platforms, I will offer three solutions. When there's need to bring tech platforms to the table and hold them accountable, because the only reason as to why we are seeing GBV cases going wild on digital platforms and girls, as someone had initially indicated, are trending overnight, yet nothing is happening, is because there's a tendency to see bad information and disinformation on digital platforms trending. And there's a reason as to why that happens. It's all about the algorithms. Governments can only do so much. So how then do we bring Facebook, Twitter, all the owners and all these key stakeholders to the conversation to ensure that we are fixing up or amending the algorithms to amplify better messages so that people are not trending for the wrong things? Because I came across a study that indicated that at least by UN Women, at least 38% of women have faced online abuse, and 85% of women across the globe, this is with limited data obviously, have witnessed their fellow women being abused on digital platforms. And this makes women fear to be on these spaces and to leverage the advantages that they have. And technology platforms have diverse and great opportunities, especially in the areas of trade and earnings, but women are staying away from them. There's also need for awareness and advocacy and capacity building, as everyone else had indicated, to deal with GBV. This is in terms of how then can I protect myself when I'm on these spaces? How then do I leverage the free tools? There are very many free tools on digital platforms and technology platforms that very many people are not aware of. If something happens and I come across information on a woman was either abused on this platform, do I immediately share it and retweet it? Or do I go to reverse image search? Do I go to verification and fact-checking tools that are offered for free to confirm that this is either true or not true? How then do I combat and be a solution to these cases of gender-based violence on these platforms? There's also need to involve stakeholders, and this will not only highlight the problem of GBV, but also will highlight the issue to do with internet cost briefly. When ensuring that all stakeholders are involved, authorities, like in Kenya, for instance, we have Communications Authority, that is a regulator in the country. We have different regulators in different countries across the region in Africa, yeah? So how then do we ensure that they are aware about these cases and they are well their capacity built. Capacity building is not only for women and those who are on these platforms, but also for people who are in government and who are in these spaces, because these platforms are changing over and over overnight and really quick. So there's need to ensure even people like the police know how to handle GBV cases. If someone abuses me on digital platforms, if I am cyberbullied, can I go to the police station and tell them that ABCD happened? Are there processes to ensure that this case is taken forward and justice prevails? Because in Africa, we have issues, because in Kenya, for instance, I keep on joking about it, which is quite sad, as I wind up through my digital platform, because I'm a YouTuber and my role is to ensure we combat disinformation on digital platforms through a video series called Tech for Peace. So I'm always saying there is, in Kenya, for instance, and East Africa largely, if I walk into a police station and I tell them that I was cyber attacked, the solution that they will offer is, who took you on that platform? You know, you can always log out. You know, you can always delete your account. But how sustainable is that solution? Someone else will come to this platform and they will still face the same problems. So then there's need for collaboration from all stakeholders, tech platforms, from advocacy, from capacity building for governments, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christine Magoma. Young person with so much knowledge, and we really learned a lot, and also sharing a well-structured, solid solutions toward gender-based violence on online spaces. All stakeholders are here, and we are here. We're hearing, and we hope to implement it. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending the session. It's been almost 2 hours, and you're here, and we're very thankful for having you with us. And also, honorable guests, our dear panelists, thank you for giving us your time. Of course, many important messages have passed throughout the session, and we've really learned a lot, and we've really learned the essential points where we need to work hard toward coming to capacity building on digital literacy, on also information availability, on education, so that no one is left behind, on education, that every women without disability, with disability, is going to education, is getting access to education, and is able to use the digital world that is coming. And we have also taken a deep note that through the globalization process, where the world is coming to be more digitalized, we need to ensure that women are not left behind. Because why? If women are left behind, we are going to keep increasing the gender inequality, the gender disparity, and we don't want to see that. We don't want another moment in our life where we are behind and fighting again and again. And we need to also work hard toward gender-based violence. We need to work hard toward internet governance. We need to really start and strengthen our work. And we really shared much experience from Ghana, Dr. Afisa. It's such a rewarding moment. And also the president has been the gender champion, and you've been doing so much, and we're so happy to learn from the experience of Ghana. And I hope all over Africa, all participants are hearing can really learn and take those experience and take them to the ground, not only to advocate, lobby, but also try to implement. It's not only the government that is responsible, it's us, the young girls, women, it's us, the young people, that is responsible to make the change that we want. And thank you very much, all. Now, if we can ask you to open your videos so that we can take a selfie, and then we'll go to the closing remark. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. You did an excellent job. And thank you, the organizers. Director Sam, thank you. Thank you,
I hope the
colleagues.
technical.
And thank you, young ones. Happy International Women's Day. You are strong women, and we are proud of you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Stay, Dr. Afisa, for our picture. We really want to take a picture with you all. So I hope the technical team is ready, taking pictures already. So you can say anything. Cheese, samus, any word. You can also use the photo position for Embrace Equity this year. We can all say it like this. This is Embrace Equity. This is okay. Is it taken? Can the technical team confirm? Thank you so much. So now I'll be introducing you to Honorable Aver Gavar, who is respected advocate for the rights and welfare of children in Africa. Over the years, she has played major roles and held key positions in several organizations, including the National Human Rights Commission of Nigeria, the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, for the African Committee of Experts on the Rights of Welfare of the Child. She worked as the country rapporteur to Zambia, Kenya, Botswana, Rwanda, Sierra Leone. Currently, she is also the special rapporteur on violence against children. Besides, Honorable Gavar is serving as a director of human rights education and promotion at the National Human Rights Commission of Nigeria. She'll be giving us the closing remark. I'm sorry, Honorable Aver Gavar, you're muted.
Okay, is that good?
All good.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. It is my utmost pleasure to be invited to make the closing remarks for this brief but very rich interactive dialogue, both on behalf of the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child and in my capacity as the Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Children. Sorry, how is the sound? Is the sound okay?
Yes, clear and loud. We can hear you.
Thank you very much. And so I just express my pleasure, and I'll go ahead and say that the theme for the 2023. Sorry. Yeah. Not sounding good.
Can Ms. Avar, can you hear us? You're muted again.
Is that better?
Now it's better.
Okay. So it is my pleasure to be called upon to give this concluding remarks at this very brief and rich event. The theme for the 2023 International Women's Day could not have been more topical. Coming at a time the world has migrated to a digital era, the theme urges the world, and indeed the African continent, to step up efforts to not only embrace the new digital world, but to also mainstream equity and inclusion and close the gender gaps while doing so. This timely dialogue has therefore provided opportunities for honest conversation, experience sharing, stock taking on the issue of equitable access to digital technology for all sexes and all ages. Achieving gender equality in the digital world entails creating spaces for women and girls for digital education and participation in science and technology, medicine, economic transformation and empowerment, research, and all forms of transformative innovation. This then calls for sustained development of digital skills and tools for women and girls to enable them participate and engage the digital spaces and maximize their life opportunities in technology. Inclusion and gender demands of children and girls lie at the heart of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. These principles are likewise strongly articulated in the AU Agenda 2063 for an Africa we want and the Agenda 2040, which is the Africa Fit for Children. Aspiration 6 of the Agenda 2040 envisages that every child on the African continent benefits fully from qualitative education by the year 2040. The aspiration prescribes in strong terms the imperative of education and the need for boys and girls to have equal access to education. Furthermore, there is a strong call for a gender-sensitive and responsive environment for learning, as well as universal access to information, communication, and technology devices, content, and connectivity. Aspiration 7 of the agenda also envisages an environment where every child is protected against violence, exploitation, and abuse. Violence against children manifests in many forms, including online and other abuse. While much attention and recognition has been given to harmful traditional practices, child labor, sexual and gender-based violence, and more visible forms of violence against children, online child violence is gaining a widespread, especially after the COVID-19 lockdowns, where that stipulated a sedentary lifestyle. The need to equip our women and girls on the continent with the skills to recognize, prevent, and report online violence cannot be more urgent than now. The digital transformation strategy of the African Union seeks to promote an integrated and inclusive digital society and economy in Africa. It canvasses for all persons on the continent to be digitally empowered and achieve reasonable access to the internet by the year 2030. Notably, between 2018 and 2022, the AU similarly engaged a continental project to strengthen regional and national capacities against online child sexual exploitation. Notably, the committee was beneficiary to this capacity strengthening and has since then progressively mainstreamed online child sexual exploitation in its work through the mandate of the Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Children. The committee's general comment number 7 on Article 27 of the African Charter for Children further articulates state party obligations to prevent, combat, and protect children from sexual abuse, both online and offline. As I make to close this event, I call on African states to take some of these and all other measures to provide an equitable digital environment for all persons, especially women and girls. 1, to ratify and domesticate the AU Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data, the Malabo Convention. 2, to create access to digital education on equal basis for boys and girls, as well as close the urban-rural disparities existing in access to digital education and technology. And then to strengthen national capacities, including those of duty bearers and children, for understanding, prevention, and response to online child exploitation. To conclude, I say congratulations to the planned AU Liaison Office for this rich dialogue, and I say thanks to the moderators and to all the resource persons for all the rich perspectives that they brought onto this discussion. Thank you and have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you very much. Happy International Women's Month. Thank you, Mr. Honorable Avert. Thank you, Dr. Afisa, Dr. Maseret, Christine, and all for Johanna. And Emilo, David, Alain, thank you very much. And thank you all, especially organizer from PAN AU Liaison Office for hosting such an interactive session. Have a great time. This will be the end. Happy International Women's Month.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.